Welcome to our Outbuild and Autodesk co-webinar. We are going to talk about how BlueLine, which is a customer of both of ours, is using the Outbuild and Autodesk integration together to really streamline their processes. I'm Alex Williamson with Outbuild. I'll be kind of helping to co-present here and do the Outbuild side of the story. We're also joined by Jeremy Wallen, who is the Strategic Alliances and Partnerships Manager at Autodesk. And then the real star of the show, Marisa Crerar from BlueLine Construction. Marisa is a project coordinator over there and very heavily involved in using Outbuild and the Autodesk integration. So she'll really be sharing her story. And just so you all know what to expect, here's a high-level agenda. First, Jeremy is going to do a quick intro on Autodesk and their perspective in the AEC industry. I'll then give a quick introduction to Outbuild and then the integration with Autodesk. And then we'll get to really the, main topic at hand, which is to hear directly from Marisa about BlueLine's experience using Outbuild and Autodesk together. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing so that Jeremy can pull up his slides and tell us a little bit more about Autodesk.
Great. Thank you so much for the introduction. And hey, everybody, it's so wonderful to be here today. Again, my name is Jeremy. I work on the Autodesk AECO integrations team. So our team manages our vast ecosystem of integration partners, including Outbuild, as they go and develop and build integrations to an Autodesk AECO solution, which we'll get into here today. But just kicking things off from the Autodesk side, historically, Autodesk has had a deep and robust set of design tools, Revit, AutoCAD, Navisworks, etc., that allow project teams to build their structures or build their 3D models, their 2D drawings, and so forth. Over the past couple years, Autodesk has made significant investments into the construction space. We've gone out and through various acquisitions and product development, formed Autodesk Construction Cloud, which is comprised of a few key solutions: Autodesk BIM Collaborate, Autodesk Build, and Autodesk Takeoff. That is all underpinned by Autodesk Docs, and I'll get into that here in a second. But the goal and intent here is so project teams can build out their design, say in Revit, take that into the cloud, use BIM Collaborate to condition that model, find any clashes. If it needs to go back into review in Revit, they can do so, and then take all that information, the 3D model, their project documentation, their drawings, their budgets into the field inside of Autodesk Build and go run construction processes and their construction projects from start to finish. And speaking of start to finish, when we think of Autodesk Construction Cloud, it helps construction teams, mainly general contractors and subcontractors, take their projects from planning to construction to then operation. So within Autodesk Construction Cloud, project teams can, again, like I alluded to, condition their model, but also run takeoffs, quantity takeoffs, estimates, and so forth on their 2D drawings or 3D sheets, and have all of that readily available for project teams, whether they're in the field or in the office. Um, and again, Autodesk Construction Cloud has three main products or three main solutions: BIM Collaborate, which is used by design teams in particular; Takeoff, that's the solution that will allow you to get those quantities from the 2D sheets or the 3D models. And then, of course, Autodesk Build, which has everything and anything that you may need on the job site. All of this is underpinned by Autodesk Docs. And that's important because those 3D models, those 2D drawings, the budget, and so forth can all flow between each of these solutions, no matter which stage of construction you may be in. So whether you're in the planning phase or pre-construction phase, or you're in the construction operation phase, that 3D model can exist and live inside of Docs and be accessible through each of these three solutions. So it flows from start to finish, and allows you to use all this content throughout the entire course of the project. Focusing though on Autodesk Build in particular, this is the one, and this is the solution that's used typically during the construction phase and allows teams to go and interact with issues or RFIs, create those from the field, from the office and have all the corresponding documentation, snippet of the model, or maybe it's a spot on the sheet with the callouts and markups. It allows teams to work collaboratively. As you know, construction is a team sport and requires everyone to quite literally stay on the same page, so that they're building the right thing and don't have to go back and do rework and so forth. That's where Autodesk Build helps construction teams quite literally stay on track and keep their projects under budget. Just expanding out and double clicking into Autodesk Build, I mentioned a few key things, issues, RFIs. It also has a number of other modules and things that builders can use on site. For example, our schedule, which we'll talk about here later on, or maybe it's a daily report of what was completed that day on the project. If you're a subcontractor, you need to report back up to your GC, what you've done that day, you can add that within our daily report. Largely it's, anything and everything that happens on the job site can be captured within Autodesk Build. And again, going back to my previous point about Autodesk Docs, all that's the underlying document management behind Autodesk Build too, right? So if you need to pull a model back into BIM Collaborate and change the architect needs to change design within Revit or move something in AutoCAD, that can all be captured and done within Autodesk Construction Cloud. So I'll leave you with this slide here. Autodesk Construction Cloud is one-stop shop for everything that happens within a project, from design to pre-construction to construction to operations. We have tools and solutions to help you go and design, build, and then operate. So with that, I will pause my screen sharing and pass the baton back over to you.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy. And so as Jeremy just shared with us, and as you know, Autodesk is really your system of record. It's supposed to be that single source of truth where the entire project team can go to see complete and current project documentation. And that's imperative in order to manage risk and keep the project on track. And that does include the need for the project team to be on the current schedule, given that the schedule is one of the most important documents that the project team needs access to. And that's where Outbuild comes in. Oops, double clicked there. So here's the challenge that we're solving for here. Until now, getting the schedule into Autodesk, or anywhere for that matter, meant relying on complicated legacy scheduling tools that you had to use to build and update the schedule. And then every single time something was updated, you had to manually export and import it, because these legacy tools were simply not built to connect with modern construction tech like Autodesk. And the reality is that nowadays we don't need to rely on these complex legacy tools at all anymore. These are relics from the 80s, from a time when this was the only thing available for scheduling, and it was really cool at the time. But also back then, the prevailing trend was to try to address risk by overscheduling and trying to document every possible task, every possible dependency before the project even started. The problem with that is that these monster schedules fall apart as soon as the project breaks ground, because it's not accessible by the field, it's not usable by the field, and it can't be kept up to date by the field. So in the end, this thing becomes totally detached from reality. So over time, the industry realized that we needed a leaner approach. We need to bring field planning back to the field. But without the right technology, that just created new administrative processes that slowed project teams down. So now field teams have to reconcile their sticky notes and their spreadsheets with the master schedule during hours-long meetings that pull them away from the job site. And this is just adding extra work to the super's plate. And still, the schedule's never truly up to date in real time, because there's always an information lag here. So Outbuild changes all of this by eliminating the need to rely on legacy scheduling software that doesn't work the way that job sites do. And it also directly puts the schedule in the hands of the field team and into Autodesk. Outbuild is collaborative scheduling and planning software built for construction teams that offers a full CPM schedule builder with a connected, field-friendly look ahead, plus built-in risk and progress tracking. So ultimately, Outbuild enables our customers to plan smarter, stay aligned, and keep their projects on track, all while keeping their system of record, Autodesk, up to date. So I want to give you a quick overview of Outbuild and actually how it looks and works. So I pre-recorded a quick 1 minute demo so that we could make it pretty brief. So let me share that and then we will get back into the discussion. With Outbuild, building a schedule is simple. Start from scratch or import from common file types. Need to make changes? Use bulk editing or just drag and drop. Adjustments take seconds, not hours. Outbuild also makes it easy to include the field. Superintendents can manage the connected look ahead right on their iPads, tracking progress, flagging roadblocks, and suggesting schedule changes when tasks slip. Back in the office, those updates can be easily reviewed and approved. Once the schedule is finalized or updated, you can export custom views for specific clients or sync it directly to Autodesk Build for the project team with just a click. Updates appear right in Autodesk's files and schedule tools, so the entire team is always working from the latest version. No extra steps, no duplicate data entry. And setup is quick. In just a few steps, your integration is live. All right. How's that for a fast demo? That's why I had to pre-record it. So we're now going to turn toward really the reason everyone is here today. And we're not going to hear just from Autodesk and Outbuild, but actually from Marisa, who is using Autodesk and Outbuild together in the field. So let me stop that so we have more real estate to see Marisa. Hi, Marisa. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So just to kind of get everyone familiar with you and what you do at BlueLine, first, can you tell us a little bit about your background? How did you end up in construction and what are you doing now?
My background is as a teacher of all things. I was a teacher for 15 years and know the director of construction at BlueLine. And we were talking about some of the issues she was having with keeping everything organized. I was looking to get out of teaching. So she said, "Hey, have I got an idea?" So I came on board about 2.5 years ago. And the company's only 4 years old. So we were still very small at the time. 7 of us. We're only at 9 people now. And so I took my organizational skills of managing a room of 30 children to managing job projects and keeping workflow going, keeping superintendents organized. I usually say my job is to make everything in the field a little bit easier for everybody. So I try to meet with my superintendents quarterly and say, "Hey, what's working for you guys right now? What do you need? What can we change in Autodesk?" Yesterday, we just had a meeting about going through the daily report about, there was some duplicate entry stuff. And so we worked through that so that we can just keep streamlining everything for everyone.
What's harder, managing a construction team or managing a room of 30 children?
It depends on the day, but I definitely get called bro a lot less in construction, which I would say is a step forward. Definitely they can manage some of their own things, so that's good.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about BlueLine. What kind of work are y'all doing over there?
So we are a company that does low income or affordable housing. We do it across the mountain states. We're based out of Missoula, Montana. And if anybody's ever seen Yellowstone, you can imagine how many people have wanted to move here in the last 5 years. And so we are in a real housing crisis in many of our mid-sized towns. So we just started a project in Missoula, Montana, where we're based out of. We have one starting in Bozeman, Montana in a few months. We've done a project in Big Sky, Montana, which is a high-end ski resort. A lot of it is workforce housing, general affordable housing, because wages have not kept up with housing prices. The average price of a home sold in Missoula is over $500,000, and in Bozeman it's almost $1 million. So the housing, like the project we have going in Bozeman, will be for teachers and police officers and like people who work for the city. And so we like to say that we keep the dignity in housing, because it doesn't matter what your income is, everybody deserves to have a home.
Very, very important work that you're doing. So that's great to hear.
Thank you.
All right. So to the core topic here, what prompted BlueLine to bring on Outbuild for scheduling to displace the previous scheduling software?
As you had mentioned, we were using a somewhat antiquated program to do it, and it would require lots of steps in order to get it from that program up onto Autodesk. And we've been using Autodesk for a little over 2 years. And we just started Outbuild this spring, I think, and it's already made a huge difference for my workload, at least. We just so many steps. And then if investors wanted to see what the schedule was like, or the ownership team wanted to see what it was like, you could only export it to a PDF, and it printed out super wonky, like 9 pages, and it wasn't really user friendly. So in switching to Outbuild, we're able to do it so much faster, and it's an easy print export to PDF that comes out on an actual 1-page sheet that everyone can look at.
Yeah, so you had described to me previously, it's like, of course, the project team can go get it in Autodesk, but a lot of times when the development team or the client side of the house wants to see things, they want a PDF in a certain way.
And we're very unique in that way too. We do the property development, the construction, and then the property management. So there are a lot of players outside of construction who need to know what's going on.
Yeah. Yep. And they want it the way they want it.
Exactly. And I have to say, personally, my favorite thing about Outbuild is that you can color code it, because it's so much. I mean, you can win me over very easily with a color coded spreadsheet. And it makes so much sense. And even I, somebody who does not have a background in construction, can understand what I'm looking at.
Very cool. Well, this might be an easy question since the workflow is meant to be simple, but can you talk us through sort of your workflow? Like, how are you actually using the Outbuild and Autodesk integration?
Okay. So what typically will happen is that our head superintendent and director of construction sit down when we're starting a project and make the schedule out for the whole 1 year or 2 year period. And then, when the project actually gets started, based on permit delays and all that fun stuff that we deal with on a daily basis, they check in a couple times a week with it, make any updates that are necessary, and then get to let me know that it's been updated, and I save it and do my thing, and it's 2 steps, and then it's all up for everyone to see in Autodesk. And we've already had to get, we only have 1 project we're using it on now, but already, investors wanted to see it, and it took me 30 seconds to have something to them instead of 30 minutes. So it's made a huge difference in my ability to get things done. And especially moving down the line when we have, 4 or 5 more projects starting in the next year, will make time flow a lot easier for all of us.
Yeah, great. So it sounds like one of the major benefits of the integration is being able to kind of keep things orderly and updated without a lot of effort, without a lot of time.
It's low effort, high reward in my book. And I think that's ideal when I'm trying to manage 4 or 5 projects at once.
Yeah. Yep. Attention is spread thin sometimes. And so we need to, eliminate things that aren't really necessary.
And I think it's great too. The guys can go through it at the field and like update things in real time. And then everything stays on track. And like you said in your presentation, things don't get lost anymore. And then you're like, oh, where did we lose 3 weeks? Well, we can show you exactly where we lost 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Great. Yeah, it's definitely important to have that detail captured for when questions arise later on, as they always do.
Yep.
So what was the process of setting up the integration like?
It was awesome. With our Outbuild, I guess subscription is what you would call it. We're paired with somebody from Outbuild. We had a couple of training sessions, and honestly, she very detailed, went through it. Even my superintendents who are not tech savvy understood what she was doing, which was great. Because I am their tech support and I don't always know it, but it was great how well she was able to explain it to them. And once, we had schedule to upload. We hadn't had the training on it yet. And so I called her and she set up a Zoom. And in 10 minutes, she had walked me through the 2 steps it took to set one up and get it hooked up to Autodesk. Because there's also a piece that you have to go into Autodesk and activate before it'll talk to each other. And that's truly been the most complicated thing of the whole process. And it still took 10 minutes. So it was really great to be able to have that direction and help with it. And I've been able to do it on my own ever since.
Yeah, that's great. For anyone who's very technically inclined and wants to learn a little bit more, it's basically there's an initial setup step you do where you put in an identifier key. It's a number that you copy and paste into Autodesk. And then back in Outbuild, you just tell it which project goes with which Autodesk project. So
it's super easy.
Yeah, anyone can do it. Okay. So what would you say to someone who's listening to this, maybe thinking about Outbuild, thinking about integrating the two, but they're not feeling sure about it?
I think you're throwing money out the window if you don't at least give it a shot. We did a few informative chats with somebody before we signed up for it, but it was enough to say, hey, this looks like it could really make our lives that much easier. And if you think about just how much time I spend and how much time I'm able to spend on other things, like it's worth it just for the price alone of my time, let alone the director's time, the superintendent's time. Like it's worth every penny and then some to make your lives a little easier.
Awesome. Well, that's what we love to hear. That's exactly what we're setting out to do. So thank you for sharing. Now that you've got scheduling dialed in, what are you looking forward to at BlueLine?
I'm looking forward to having projects in town. This is the first time we've ever had a project where we're at, so I get to go to the job site every week. I don't have to get on a plane to go there. And it's really great to actually, as somebody who doesn't have the background in construction, to be on site and get to learn a little more. So I know when things come across my desk, I can understand them a little better. And I think really I'm in the process of just setting up as many systems as I can in advance to help with workflow when we go from 2 projects at a time to 5 or 6 projects at a time, because I don't necessarily know that our employee count will increase as quickly as our job count will right now.
Kind of a good problem to have.
It is. It is. So I'm just trying to figure out, okay, how do I set myself up for success in 6 months and a year without banging my head against the wall? So I'm taking the slower time right now to be able to do that.
That's great. Well, we can't wait to hear about the success on all of those future projects coming up. We have a couple of minutes left here, so I do want to respect everyone's time and leave a couple moments for Q&A in case anybody has any questions, especially for Marisa, but also could be for Jeremy or I on the products. And I'm putting this QR code here in case anyone does want to have a deeper discussion, take a closer look. This will take you to a site where you can book a conversation with us. And if you do that, we'll throw in a free workshopping session where we can actually get you into an account of Outbuild. You could even connect it with Autodesk if you have Autodesk already set up, and actually really play around with it. So feel free to pursue that avenue if you want to learn more. Let me see if any questions have come in. No questions have come in so far. Well, Marisa, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate it, and we love to get real perspectives like yours.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, Jeremy, as well, for helping put this together and co-hosting with us. We love working with you guys.
Of course.
All right, everyone, take care. We look forward to further discussions down the road. Have a great day.